Some mysteries haunt the world long after the headlines fade. In this episode, we return to the cold January morning in Los Angeles, where a young actress's dream was swallowed by one of history's most chilling unsolved crimes. The Black Dahlia case opens. This is Memento Mori. Welcome to this deep dive.
Won't you spare me over another?
The Black Dahlia case, it goes back to 1947, but it's so much more than just a police file. It's become this artifact of American culture.
It really has.
The brutality of it, the way the body was posed, and then the media circus, it all just cemented its place in history.
Absolutely. And I think it's vital we look at this not just as a murder mystery, but as a real cultural flashpoint.
A flashpoint, how so?
Well, the case of Elizabeth Short, and that is the victim's name, it became a kind of mirror. It reflected all these anxieties people had after World War II, this moral panic about Hollywood's dark side.
And it was a collision between the press and the police.
A dangerous one. The press started prioritizing newspaper sales over, the actual pursuit of justice.
That's a key point.
Yeah.
So before we get into the crime scene itself, we really need to understand the person who was lost in all those headlines. Who is Elizabeth Short?
Elizabeth Short was born in Boston back in 1924. Her life was, it was defined by a lot of instability.
Right.
When she was just 6 years old, her father, Cleo Short, he just abandoned the family. His car was found near a bridge, and everyone just assumed he'd committed suicide.
So her mother was left alone to raise 5 daughters.
Exactly. And the trauma didn't stop there. A decade later, he writes to her.
He was alive.
Alive and well in California. He just walked away. And despite that, Elizabeth still tried to reconcile with him later before, chasing her own Hollywood dream.
And that dream, it wasn't what the papers made it out to be.
Not at all. Her life in LA was very transient. She moved around a lot, worked odd jobs, waitress, bartender, and often relied on servicemen she knew for a place to stay. She wasn't an established actress or a model, just a young woman trying to find her way.
And that's where the famous nickname came from.
That's right. She had very dark hair, pale skin, and she often wore black. So her friends started calling her the Black Dahlia.
As a reference to the movie The Blue Dahlia.
Exactly. It was a nod to that film Noir, a nickname that, tragically would completely overshadow her real name once the story broke.
So her final days are a mystery. The last confirmed sighting was on January 9, 1947. What do we know about that?
She was last seen by a salesman, a man named Robert Red Manley. He'd spent some time with her and says he dropped her off near the Biltmore Hotel in downtown LA.
And she was supposed to meet her sister.
Yes, but she never made it. And those 6 days between him dropping her off and her body being found, that's the black hole in this investigation.
But timeline the killer definitely used to his advantage.
Without a doubt.
And that 6-day period ends with this horrific discovery on the morning of January 15th. The scene itself tells you so much about the killer's mindset.
It really does. It was a vacant lot in Leimert Park. A local woman, Betty Bersinger, was walking with her little girl and she thought she saw a mannequin.
A mannequin.
Yeah, it was just so pale and posed so unnaturally, and it was severed.
But it wasn't a mannequin. And when the police arrived, they knew this wasn't just some random act of violence. Let's get into those forensic details, because this is calculated.
It is. The most shocking detail, of course, is that the body was cut completely in half. It's a procedure known as a hemicorporectomy.
Which is not something just anyone can do.
Absolutely not. This wasn't a hatchet job. The cut was clean, precise, right between 2 vertebrae. Investigators at the time described it as having surgical precision.
And that precision is key, isn't it? This isn't just butchery. It suggests a specific kind of knowledge.
Yes. Butchering, even if it's skilled, it usually involves tearing and hacking. This required a deep anatomical understanding of the human body, specifically the spine. It suggests someone with medical training.
On top of that, the body was completely drained of blood.
Another crucial detail. That takes time, and it's messy. It proves the murder happened somewhere else, indoors, where the killer had control, time, and the right facilities.
So this wasn't just a murder. It was a performance.
It was a display. The body wasn't just dumped, it was posed. The 2 halves were placed about half a meter apart, her arms raised over her head, legs spread. It was meant to shock. And maybe the most chilling part, she had been washed clean before being left there.
The crime scene was sanitized.
The body was. The murder happened elsewhere.
And if the dismemberment showed skill, the facial injuries, they showed pure sadism, the Glasgow smile.
Yes, Her mouth was cut from the corners all the way to her ears, creating this grotesque, permanent grin. The autopsy later confirmed she'd been tortured for a long time before she died. There were rope marks, cigarette burns. It was brutal.
But that kind of brutality, it was guaranteed to sell newspapers. And that's where the investigation starts to go completely off the rails.
The media frenzy was just. It was immediate and totally unprecedented. That nickname, the Black Dahlia, combined with the savagery, it started a circulation war.
Between the Hearst papers, mostly.
Especially them. The Los Angeles Herald-Express in particular. They were known for pushing every ethical boundary imaginable.
And it wasn't just sensationalism, right? The press was actively interfering.
They were. Journalists were getting to the scene before the police could even secure it, contaminating everything. They published wild, unverified rumors about Elizabeth's life, trying to paint her in a certain light.
To justify the violence, in a way.
It felt like that. But the main goal was simple: sell more papers by fueling public terror.
And the killer. The killer saw this and started using it.
Oh, he absolutely manipulated it. About 10 days after the murder, the Los Angeles Examiner received a package. Inside were Elizabeth Short's personal items: her birth certificate, social security card, photos.
He was talking to them.
Directly. But the really clever part wasn't what was in the package, but how it was prepared.
He wiped them clean with gasoline.
Exactly. A calculated move to destroy any evidence, fingerprints, fibers, anything that might have survived on the items.
And then came the note. Here are the Dahlia's belongings. I had a good time at the murder scene. I will surrender soon. He was mocking them.
He was playing a game, and he was winning. Because all this chaos, the media hype, the killer's taunts, it led to over 50 people confessing to the murder.
50.
At least. All of them false, none verifiable. It just completely swamped the LAPD and drove the real investigation straight into a dead end.
Decades later, the investigation still seems to circle back to just a few key figures, especially people with power and influence in LA.
That's right. The focus eventually shifted away from, random drifters and toward people with specific knowledge. And the strongest theory today centers on a man named Dr. George Hodel.
A prominent LA surgeon.
Very prominent. Socially connected, politically powerful, and his surgical background is the most obvious link. He had the exact anatomical knowledge to perform that hemicorporectomy.
The killer's technique was almost a mirror of professional medical procedure.
It was, but that's still circumstantial. The real bombshell came out years later, thanks to his own son.
Steve Hodel, the retired LAPD detective.
Yes. He uncovered an old LAPD wiretap transcript from 1950. His father's house was bugged. And on that recording, Dr. Hodel is heard saying,
"Suppose I killed the Black Dahlia. They can't do anything about it now."
It's a damning statement. The theory is that Hodel's influence, his connections, allowed for a cover-up. Or at the very least, it stopped the police from looking at him too closely.
And then he fled the country.
Right after that wiretap, in 1950, he moved to the Philippines and stayed away for years. It's incredibly suspicious.
It paints this picture of power just protecting itself. But he wasn't the only suspect.
Oh, not at all. Robert Manley, the man who saw her last, he was grilled by police. His story kept changing, and he eventually had a breakdown, but they never found any physical evidence connecting him to the actual murder.
And there's another one? Leslie Dillon.
Dillon, right,
Yeah.
a hotel clerk and aspiring crime writer who seemed to know a little too much about the case. Some detectives were convinced he was the guy.
But they could never prove it.
No. There was infighting at the LAPD, and the evidence was so compromised from day one, he was never prosecuted. The whole investigation was just undermined by itself.
So in 1950, the case is officially declared inactive. It's still the LAPD's oldest, most notorious cold case. So why can't we solve it today, with all our modern technology?
It really boils down to two huge problems. First, evidence contamination. 1947 forensics were basic, and the media circus just trampled all over everything. Critical evidence was lost forever right at the start.
We can't go back and retest things that were never properly collected.
Exactly. And the second problem is the big one: no DNA.
Because he washed the body.
He washed the body and he wiped the evidence with gasoline. Any biological material from the killer's skin cells, hair, anything was almost certainly destroyed before she was even found. This killer was forensically aware decades before forensics became what it is today.
So Elizabeth Short, this young woman who came to Hollywood looking for fame, she found it, but only in death. Her stories become this huge part of American culture, inspiring books, movies.
The crime was so sensational, so deliberately staged, that her tragedy was guaranteed to become this enduring myth, a really chilling reminder of the darkness that can hide right under the surface of Hollywood's golden age.
The Black Dahlia case eternally remains a chilling secret hidden beneath that glittering surface of Hollywood. As you reflect on this dark story, consider how much the culture of sensationalism, which arguably fueled the killer's desire for performance and control, actively worked against justice in this case, making the killer's communication strategy an unexpected success. Thank you for listening. To ensure you don't miss the next file in the Memento Mori collection, please like this video and subscribe. Until we meet again in the next dark story.